afternoon, everybody. I am Sasha. Welcome. I am live. Today we're going to do something. It is now 12 noon, so I come on every Saturday at 12 noon Pacific Standard Time because I'm in Washington State. And I hope you're having a wonderful time. And to all you mamas whose kids are home for summer break, I hope you're having a wonderful day. My kids are home. This is day 3 of summer break, and no joke, they've been great for 2 days, and today they decided to attack each other. Just literally attack, like 2 dinosaurs or velociraptors just like attacking. So we've had some weird morning stuff this morning, and now they're at a park with daddy. So hopefully they'll come back more relaxed. Welcome. Today we're going to do something a little different. Today we're going to talk about how to hold space, because I keep seeing all over the interwebs about this notion of holding space for people, holding space for yourself, your kids, your loved ones, your clients, things like that. And when you hold space, that no one really tells you what holding space is. And so there's sort of this elusive, attractive, allure of what holding space is. But holding space, we're going to do, this is going to be 15 minutes. It's going to be super short today. But literally, holding space is just saying nothing. It's literally just being present in the moment. So I'm going to give you 5 easy things you can do to hold space. I'm going to tell why you usually don't hold space. So depending upon where you are in the world, where you live, here in the US, we've been taught that silence is sort of uncomfortable. So literally anytime that someone is upset, or if you're in an environment where people are stressed out and upset, if you are in a funeral environment and people are upset, if your kids are upset, we're taught to find a solution. There's got to be a solution. There's a problem. Let's find a solution. Let's attack this. Let's go after it. Let's get this done. And the problem is that no one really gets to sit and just let the feelings kind of fester. And because the feelings aren't festering, we're not working through them. And so if you're not working through your emotions, good emotions, bad emotions, monotone emotions, those emotions are there for a reason. And when you work through them and you just let them be there and they kind of settle, and then your mind kind of starts to think about them, you naturally start to come to terms with those emotions. So the sadness or the anger, the frustration, you naturally start to kind of let it go. And that is healthy. That is natural. But when you try to find a solution for it really quickly, and let's get this done, and I don't want to feel bad, I don't want to feel angry, I don't want to feel frustrated, I don't want you to feel bad, angry, or frustrated, so let's do this. When you start to do that, you're actually robbing yourself or the person of working through those emotions. So this new kind of fandangled term of holding space is basically where you're allowing just this presence, this moment in time to not be awkward, to not be forced to come up with a solution immediately and get over this situation that's happening. So you can do this with anyone. You can do this if you have to go to a funeral, if you're doing this with your kids and they hurt themselves, or they hurt someone else, or something broke, something that they broke, or something that they broke accidentally. You can do this with yourself. Holding space is literally just sitting there in the moment and not expecting anything to happen from it, not having any expectation, not having a solution that you have to come up with, not trying to find a resolution for anything in particular, but just sitting in the feelings. So the easiest way to do this is, no joke, just to shut up and sit there. So if you're going to hold space for someone like your child or a client or someone you love, you're going to basically just sit there. You're just going to sit there and be quiet. Silence is golden. That's giving them time. It's making them feel like, oh, my feelings are valid and nothing has to come of this, because nothing does need to come of it. Just sitting there in the feelings is all that they need. And so holding space is just holding that moment in time to allow them to feel what they're feeling. Now, if they're allowed that time, they'll naturally start to work through it on their own. And then if they do ask, what do you think? What should I do? Here's the thing. Bring it back to them. What do you think you should do? You know, I know you don't know the answer, but if you did, what would it be? Let them have that time to just do nothing but sit and think in silence in their own space, okay? Now, the biggest thing, don't try to fix the problem. That's number one. Never try to fix the problem. We're taught to fix everything and to not let it happen naturally, and we gotta attack it and go after it. That's the biggest thing. Just don't try to fix it. Just be there. That's number one. Number two, silence is golden. Just allow them that space. Just sit with them quietly. Number three, if you want to offer comfort in a quiet way. So you can just hold their hand and just sit there with them. You don't have to look at them. You can look down, you can look away, but you're just there. And that's it. You can, if holding their hand is awkward for you, you can just put a hand on their shoulder so they know, like, I'm here. But nothing needs to happen from this. Okay? If you're not comfortable with touching, or someone that you're like, I don't feel like I should be touching them, just sit there. Okay? I used to work in banking years ago, and we'd have, we were right next to a retirement home, and sometimes the retirees would come over, and they were just in a time where, you know, they were frustrated. There was a transition. They were going through a lot of things, and finances were, you know, kind of crazy. And I was kind of dubbed the crying table, because I would have people come over and they would just start weeping. And I would have my tissue box, and, you know, I would just sit there and just let them, and just, you know, be present, just hold that space for them to feel their feelings. And within a couple minutes, they were good. And guess what? They feel good afterwards, because there's nothing that you need to do. You don't need to fix anything. You don't need to come up with magical words. This is not pep talk time. This is not like, let's get a radical solution started. This is just holding the space for those feelings to work themselves out, and then just leave. Okay? And then, again, I promise this is going to be a short one. We're already 7 minutes in. This is the thing. Just stay as long as needed. As long as that person needs. Usually it feels like a longer period of time. If you were actually to time it, it's probably like 10 minutes, 20 minutes. If it's someone you know really well, you could stay there for an hour, or you could just stay all day, you know, if you're in their home or something like that. If it's with your kids, it's amazing when you just hold space, you know, like, let's say something broke, or let's say they did something wrong, and you're kind of saying, you can't do that. You cannot do that activity. You can't say those words. You can't be hurtful. You can't, you know, fill in blank. And your kids start to get emotional because they're feeling attacked. Even if you're doing it in a really loving way, some kids will feel attacked because they're being told what they did, the choice they made, was wrong. And so, you know, being mean to others, or being, you know, obnoxious, or, you know, accidentally breaking something, whatever it is that's happened, that's transpired, and you're kind of telling them this is how it should be. Kids oftentimes will get kind of in the pouty mode, and then they'll kind of feel sad. And I know my son, for instance, will just he starts to, you know, take that internally, and then he'll just start crying. And the fastest way for both of us to get back on the track, and really for him to hear the message of, like, you can't say those words, you can't do that activity, is literally, I just sit there with him. I sit there with him, and sometimes I'll hold him. Sometimes he's like, I don't want to hug, and I'm like, okay. And sometimes I just sit there with him. And then literally, it's only like a minute to 3 minutes. They work out their feelings. He goes through this kind of like internal process where he's like, okay, I wasn't supposed to do that. Okay, now, all right, I got it. Good. And guess what? It's more effective. It's more effective than lecturing. It's more effective than yelling. It's more effective than saying something 1,000 times where your brain starts to go crazy because you think, I keep telling you the same thing. Literally letting them feel it and just being in that moment. Just give them that time. Hold that space. And then they internalize it deeper. It means more to them, and they remember it. So I hope that you try this. I hope you try this with your loved ones. I hope you try this with your kids. And I really hope that you also try this with yourself, because allowing your time, that space, to just exist where you feel the feelings, work through them, and then let them go. It'll make you less stressed, less anxious, less prone to anger, because usually when we get angry, it's because we're resistant to something. Let those feelings happen and you won't have that resistance. And then you'll be able to let them kind of transcend and come back into the moment feeling good and feeling more empowered, because now the feelings aren't being pushed down. The feelings have already been released. So there's nothing to hold on to. Now you can just move forward, and that is the point where you can find a solution or a resolution or take action steps to move towards whatever direction you need to go. And with your kids, that's the point where they're kind of like, okay, got it, I'm over it. No longer crying, let's move on. That's the time where you can say, okay, do you have any questions? Do you need help with anything? Do you need any more explanation? If they're like, no, I've got it, then more than likely they really do have it. So again, younger kids will need more repetition. Older kids usually don't need as much repetition, but when you hold space for them, they really feel it. And then you'll see them, especially when you start this when they're young, you'll see your kids start to do this for you. And then you'll notice that, like my daughter, for instance, she's already 6. And if I'm starting to feel stressed, sometimes she'll just put her hand on my shoulder and she'll be like, Mommy, do you need a break? And it's a nice trigger for me also, because I'm starting to kind of be in my moment. And then when she does that, I'm like, yeah, I do. Okay. Just hold that space and then move on. So I hope this helps you today. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. I hope the sun is shining. I hope your day is incredible and your weekend is fabulous. And I will see you here Saturday. I will post this in the feed. And if you have any questions, go ahead and comment down below or tag me or instant message me, and I will talk to you later. All right, bye.